There are so many memories, aren't there, of Tony, that all of you bring, bright and wonderful and loving and touching ones. When we came in, the sunlight was gilding the coffin, and we want to drive the hurting away, dry the tears that are tumbling from eyes and the aching of their hearts by gathering these memories. We don't have enough time. We've got to fill these moments with all of the wonderful treasures of memory that Tone leaves with you. Afterwards, at the Dog and Bear in Lenham, you're please invited to come and share even more memories. So the wonder and the warmth of this gentle giant is here with us throughout today and forevermore. First of all, I'm going to ask if David could come, because he is going to come and share a tribute with us. So please, David.
I have known Tony since I was a young boy, when he would drive his mobile butcher's van into our cul-de-sac to serve the residents. Little did I realise then what an important and enduring part he would play in my life. When Tony married Wendy, he would pick me up and take me to their home most weekends, where I would play happily outdoors with his beloved daughter, Suzanne. I remember once in their back garden, Suzanne pulling a leaf from a sapling, and Tony saying to her, "When you pull a leaf from a plant, it's the same as pulling a hair out of your head." Such was Tony's lifelong love for nature, which he passed down to Suzanne and also to his beloved grandson, Daniel. When Tony dropped me back home from my stayovers, he would always give me a 50p coin. And at Christmas, he bought me a beautiful leather case for my school books. How I cherished that case. I started going with Wendy, Tony and Suzanne on holidays, and Tony would inflate a huge dinghy boat for us all to have fun in the sea. When Jamie and Paul came along, the holiday tradition continued and Marion became part of the holiday group. And we had many really happy times together, both in this country and abroad. Tony became my landlord for a few years when I lived above his butcher's shop. But it was on one condition, that I would join them every Thursday at the pub when the shop closed and drank like a butcher. Oh, happy days. Tony was always kind and generous towards his friends, colleagues and family. Our brother Roy and Tony had a mutual love and respect for one another, and Tony has always been there for him. Tony will be pleased that Roy and Elizabeth have flown all the way from Poland especially to pay their respects. Marion and Colin were part of the reason for Tony and Wendy moving down to Kent in recent years. Tony forged a close relationship and was indeed a massive support to them during their difficult times. Tony expertly and lovingly took over their large garden, and they shared many fun days out together at the coast or visiting gardens. It helps that Tony and Colin shared the same dry sense of humour. The other reason for coming down to Kent was, of course, to be closer to their wonderful sons. and their respective families. For a while, Tony missed their familiar home and garden in Birmingham. But as he started putting down more roots in their new home and garden in Ashford, and saw more of his family now that they were closer to them, Tony found a renewed happiness in life. Tony was more than just a brother-in-law to me. He was like a father at times, like a brother, and the best, closest, most reliable, most generous, loving and caring friend I've ever had through the good times, the bad times, and all the times in between. My love and gratitude for that most wonderful, most talented, most loving and most remarkable man will live on for the rest of my days. I'm sure this feeling is felt by each and every one of you in this room today. I love you, Tony, and I'm sure you'll find peace, harmony and happiness in your new life.
Thank you so much, David. Tony was born on the 7th of February in 1941 in Birmingham. It wasn't really an auspicious time. The German Luftwaffe had blitzed the city, and for the following year, 2,000 tons of bombs were going to be dropped, the third most heavily bombed city. And Edith was a single mum struggling to tend her beloved little boy. She was a shop assistant. She had help from Auntie Wynne and Uncle Stan. They lived in rented rooms. They'd dive under the table when the sirens went off. They were well used to running to the air raid shelter, cowering in the damp, spider-filled refuges. Money was tight, food was scarce. Edith worked hard, and Tony learnt in those fledgling years that you can survive through hard endeavour. It was commonplace for him to be doing jobs in those tiny years, getting his own breakfast when he was only 5, because Mum had already gone out to work. He learned to be canny. The Peaky Blinders had left a legacy of street gang criminality and violence with their flat-cap peaks concealing razor blades. He knew how to be careful, to keep his eyes down, keep himself to himself, survive in the jungle as it was, kept his wits about him. He primaried with the nuns at Erdington Catholic School. That was not a good time. But he was bright, clever, quick to learn. He won a place at Handsworth Grammar. He enjoyed rugby there. Lifelong respect for the All Blacks and for England, you told me. He worked hard. But he was also mindful of his mum's struggle to make ends meet. So he got a part-time job at the Lewis department store. It was quite an iconic building, I found out, with a zoo on the top, ice cream cabin, a paddling pool, a wonderful Father Christmas grotto. It was part of history, and he was doing display and design. He absolutely loved it. But then a job came up at the butcher's shop across from the school, and little did he know that applying for that job was going to set the course of his life. At that time, subliminally perhaps, it influenced his growing intention to become a surgeon, no doubt encouraged by his mum's very high standards, but there weren't enough pennies to support him at university. So instead of humans, animals were going to suffice under the knife. And in those growing years, there were holidays away in Bristol, Edinburgh, with relatives, with his uncle. In the school holidays, foundational experiences, helping on his Tizer pop-up round, visiting archaeological sites. You tell me about his comb and eating bowl, learning the act of freewheeling down the hills to save fuel. And music was also really important. He took up the guitar. He loved jazz and blues. He was in various bands. Bit in the middle, rocked the joint, played flamenco. You said he was offered a place in a great group like the Shadows or something like that. But I think he was again canny. He realised it was too high risk a choice. There were years of challenge and change. He married Janet, was blessed with Suzanne, but things didn't work out and life moved on. Meanwhile, a stroke of luck landed him a well-established mobile butcher's round with a reliable and a long-standing list of customers. And isn't it strange in the mysteries how a lack of money thwarts a surgeon's career and a schoolboy job leads a 6'4" handsome young man to the door of a matchmaking mum, a customer, who says to her daughter Wendy, "Butcher's at the door, Wendy, you go. He's a lovely man." Oh, if only it could have been captured on an iPhone or something like that. Two young people rapidly absorbing so much more than the transaction of meat that was taking place. And the second encounter needed no mum's prompting, just a carefully arranged day off to be able to go out and float an open question that was instantly recognised and taken. Such a magnetism was there between you on that doorstep. Can we imagine 10 days later he asked you to marry him? It wasn't going to be plain sailing. There were challenges to face. But the following years gave you the chance to discover just how genuine Tony was. Not one for small talk, frank, straight, honest and real. He didn't try to please, he was just his own person. You knew what was there, genuine. And he was totally devoted to you, would do anything for you. And very usefully for him as a man, and unusually for when as a woman, neither of you put much store by the fripperies such as Valentine's Day or wedding anniversaries. So when was it you got married? January the 19th, was it? 1973? Not quite sure. Something like that. But it wasn't going to be about a day. It was going to be about a life that you lived so richly and well. Tony was a worker, never a day off sick. Up at 5, ice, snow, cold, shine, off to the market, squeezing that 6'4" frame, 17.5 stone into that small van, plying the streets, supporting the home. And the boys. Jamie was born in 75 and Paul in 77, and how he loved them. Amidst all the work pressures, time with them was special. Indelible memories of his white van turning up right at the front of the secondary school with its winking pig logo. Oh, so embarrassing. Brilliant picture by Uncle Dave, but very embarrassing. Because in time, of course, the mobile deliveries had led to the first shop at Garrett's Lane. A. Green and Sons, purveyors of quality meats. And then a second in Castle Bromwich, and a third at Coles Hill, and with all the associated pressures of staff. There were the home rituals of Dad's half days, coming in from work, cleaning up, and then finding refuge, watering his garden from his multiple water butts, digging his pond, tending to his salvias. It was his creativity, bringing order out of chaos and beauty out of the wilderness. The only time he was actually willing to walk, you told me, because otherwise it was always the car that did that. Flowers burgeoned, the carp prospered. Well, that was until the herons came and had breakfast at Tamar Drive, and he had to settle for frogs thereafter. His interplay with nature was constant. Even the chemist's cat inveigled an entry for 18 years. Yaya, or was it Puss? And then Felicity and Suki and Tabitha and Sooty, they all meowed their way to Dad's heart. So much so that Sooty even lay over his heart to bring him some mysterious feline healing, you said. You can see Dad relaxing in the conservatory, smoke rising from his pipe or that big, fat Cuban cigar that might be being held, him resting his eyes, he said. He enjoyed boxing. He was skilled at horse riding and jumping until a fall and a broken femur put an end to that. But lying on a plank in convalescence didn't stop him going to work. He was a man. He was a gentle giant. He was strong and reliable. Special memories you've got of working with Dad on a Saturday, £5 in the pocket afterwards, and as many pork scratchings in the tongue as would stay down, making burgers, washing up, throwing the sawdust down, making tea, learning the butcher's back slang, go and tuck the dealo, walk a tibanet or esro, or other such things. I'm sure Dad didn't say something as rude as that, but you knew the lingo. Deliveries on the way home and being beside Dad, bathing in his energy was a wonderful thing. But he was clear. He didn't want you to follow in his footsteps. He wanted you to have your own lights, your own sights, and to follow those. It was tough, though. Always seemed strange when you visited friends and their dads were home at the weekend because your dads wasn't. But he supported your unfolding lives, your boys' brigade days. And when Jamie was hospitalised for 10 days, it was a chance for Dad to teach you to play chess. And from those seeds of attentive love, who would have thought school champions would come? A first and second place achieved at the Boys' Brigade County Championships. 2 brothers at the final face-off. Wonderful. Great memories of those Monday jam night sessions in the conservatory with music spilling into the neighbourhood from the sitar, all the other instruments that friends brought. He'd play in the pubs in the West Midlands like the Bitter End, and latterly you watched live music at the Sack of Potatoes, you said. You'd see him sitting at the bureau desk doing the bookkeeping. You can see him making those famous breakfasts on his days off. Steak sizzling in the pan. Get it down, he'd say. Oh, those speciality sausages, big greenies. That breakfast, eggs and mushrooms and tomatoes and butters and toast, enough to burst your stomachs. Wonderful memories. He was used to the best. Wouldn't go out and pay for posh nosh. He just enjoyed what was there, though a mixed grill, he said, would go down a treat. You remember Dad's special brew shared with Mr. Singh over the garden fence. You remember the holidays, times just to enjoy being with Dad, watching him down an ice-cold beer that he so loved, the sun that he'd revel in, going absolutely black, overdosing on vitamin D, the caravan park in Devon, and then rain driving you abroad, and those package holidays, passing one amazing resort after another, you said, and then the bus stopping and them saying, Mr. Green, the Rita Apartments, this is for you, and him having that argument, no, we're in the Vera Apartments. All these memories that come flooding back. Cyprus, the Med, Turkey, playing snooker with you, giving you whatever you needed. I loved it. Apparently, he was giving you bags of loose change to go to the arcades and have a feast of adventure with. Oh, wonderful. I remember spending all mine on the first night of holiday once. He loved coming out to Dubai to see you. Made him feel young again, he said. Dancing with Mum to Whose Beef is Alice at the beach bar. Off to Thailand for Paul's wedding. The years made him a granddad. So there was Daniel and Amelia and Luca to have special and wonderful times with. Visits were bristling with excitement. You tell me you had to restrain Luca. It was as though Father Christmas was in the bed next door. 5:30, he couldn't wait any longer. He'd be darting through and tucking in beside the friendly giant and waiting just a few minutes before it came out. Grandad, please, can we go down? Oh, just a bit longer. Can we go down now? Sean the sheep awaited, and Gulp, some very grisly sword fights. What rating was that, Dad? And swords were nearby on the wall. Wonderful, wonderful memories. And then there'd be Weetabix brought through by Grandad, covered by sugar, so you didn't see the Weetabix, and a special cappuccino. And Grandma would be entrancing Amelia with Play-Doh cakes and libraries and babes at school. And Grandad was just that sort of wonderful, endearingly daft Grandad, dressing up as a tramp, the old man with the stick and the hat. And it meant so much, spending time with you, sharing those moments of wonder and happiness. It meant so much talking of late to Daniel as well, and keeping in touch and sharing their hopes and lives. And as retirement was considered, the selling of shops and the move to Spain, well, that was a nightmare wake-up call. No way. Back you came at speed. Got the Moggies, rescued them, signed up for holiday relief, and he was back in his element, 14 or 16-hour days, working on Christmas Eve right up till 6 o'clock, even in his 70s, being there, reliable, trustworthy, absolutely vital. He had to be productive. So moving to Kent was indeed a challenge. He joined the Charing Gardening Society, tended the surgery garden, NGS Open Days, wanted to create a healing garden. And then this other extraordinary facet emerges from this kaleidoscope of activity. This gentle giant had healing hands with his teddy companion Bud. saving Amelia in Egypt, healing Jamie's back, calming Luca, making him chuckle in the womb and on his vast chest, letting him tug into sleep. Who'd have thought that this gentle giant would become a Reiki master? Who'd have thought he was into crystals and angels and Buddha figures? Who'd have thought in that garden of his there'd be cheeky gnomes that played pranks on him at night? Just all the complexities of a personality so woven with mystery and enigma. He had his routines, his clothes, his 3 pillows that had to be packed for holiday, his grolsch or rolling rock at 6. Most important, it wasn't the beer, just time to talk with Wend, to touch hearts, to nourish their love, to be together in the evening hours. There was humour to the end, wind-up merchant in hospital. Do you only have midgets in here, in these tiny beds? He said. Bring a ladder when you break me out of this place. Always a quip, always a ripple of hope and laughter. Such a generous man, often to be found handing out £20 notes to the grandchildren who'd say, no, Grandad, no. On holidays, getting the round of drinks and saying, have one on me, mate. It was just his nature. And if the grandkids knew that Mum and Dad were going to say no, they knew who to go to. They knew who would say yes. As you described, he was one of the hardest working, one of the most loving and talented men you could ever hope to meet. He had a passion to help others and to keep on giving. And that love that's brought light and gilded your days is forever with you, shining bright, warming the darkness, drying the tears. Gathering all of our own memories, we're going to listen to some music. Nothing takes the place of you.
From my wall, I replace them, both large and small, and each new day finds me so blue, but nothing takes the place of you. I read your letters one by one, and I still love you when it's all said and done.
Holding Tony close, comforted by the love in our hearts for him. We say the words that Jesus gave us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Oh, beloved Tony, our Tone, Dad, Grandad, we want to say thank you for all the wonderful memories that course strong and bright within our minds, all the moments of laughter and joy that you've placed in our hearts, jeweling our days. Every steak sizzling in a pan, every sausage made, every chess move shared, every moment of laughter, every adventure, every challenge overcome, the adventure of love. From that mobile butcher's van on the doorstep, discovering a new world with Wen. All the wonders that were to be known, all the graces that you brought, strong in your gentle giant ways. Your words and ways have so wisely and brightly interlaced our days, helped our dreams to come true, made life rich and vibrant and good. And now this sacred vessel of your spirit, it lies quiet and still, a body now for which you have no further use, which we've adorned with flowers, surrounded with love, and prepare now to have cremated, earth to earth, and ashes to ashes, and dust to dust. But your wonderful spirit, Tony, we release that to the wide blue expanse of the sky, to the sun's warmth and the wind's breath, to the dance of the stars and the planets. Go safely across the rainbow bridge of all of our dreams and our hopes and our longings, to the mysteries of the paradise and the adventures that lie beyond, to loved ones waiting upon that golden shore. I know how we're going to miss you. One day, we'll be back there with you. And until then, our love remains always with you. Oh my gosh, so many wonderful memories, aren't there? From sugar-coated Weetabix to cappuccinos for bright-eyed grandchildren. I'd like the memory of me, oh please, let it be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when my life is done, like an echo that whispers softly down the ways of all the bright, all the lovely times that truly blessed our days. And I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of all these lovely memories that I leave. Now my life is done. The sun's come again. At the start, at the finish, forevermore. Not leaving round down here, because he's always in your hearts, isn't he? You can hear him, see him, feel him, know what he'd say, know how he'd cope, know how he'd encourage. He's by your side in each and every twist and turn of what lies ahead. Keep him close with you. He'll never leave you. And love each other, because I know these are such hurting times. We need all the love we can get. And may we all be held somehow, safe, in the palm of love's good and tender hands. Amen. We're going to close the service with the song Bird of Paradise as the sun shines bright.